This is a Market Traders TV educational video. Class is in session.
Good afternoon, folks. What do you say, guys? You guys want to break down some charts? I could log in and go over maybe the top 20 cryptos. I'm long ES. I have a little spot Bitcoin position left, but I'm mostly out of Bitcoin into Tether. So let's look at Bitcoin here first. What's going on? So it came up, it tested the move that made the all-time high here. This is kind of where I would have pinned it. And it came back down, and it's testing the weekly move that made this swing. So it's kind of stuck in this range. You got to figure out what's going on, right? It did lose this weekly here. It's lost this weekly, but it's come down and tested this weekly. Yeah. They need to get back above this level, really. Right here. If by weekend, so by tomorrow. So there needs to be a rally today or tomorrow. If they want to try to save this. If not, I would expect much lower. Not, I would expect them to come and test this right here. And then again, it's kind of decision time. But this is kind of important. It's important for them to get back above this. So without getting back above this, I would expect them down here. It's actually even a little bit lower, I would say, because it'll be this weekly candle. Yeah, 35, 36. It'll be this weekly candle right here. So kind of important times. But this is going to be a really good area to buy, man. I think. Like I would expect them to bounce that area pretty hard. And even if you just get back up to here, that's still pretty good, right? Like even if you just got back up to here, that's 30%, man. And with the potential of them just holding that, and they could go to, if they gain this, they're going to go to 80. This is how I set up fibs. Other people do them kind of a little bit different. This is how these are the only numbers I really care about. It's the major 618 and the 272. So the next major 272 is at 76, and the next 618 is at 88. So if they were to come down here and hold this down here, on like this would be the long-term target. If they break this, then we're talking about much lower, right? We're talking about this right here. And maybe there'll probably be some reaction at the breakout zone, but most likely I would expect it at that point to go all the way down to 12 if we lose this lower range. Yeah, I would be a massive buyer. I'd be fully back in with everything I have down here. I would probably buy this whole range. I'd average in this whole range, with the bigger buys being down here. Small buys, smaller buys, smaller buys, or bigger buys, and then the biggest buys down the bottom. Something like that. That would be my plan with this. I wouldn't really be putting in stops, but I know that's really not the best way to do it. But if you were going to stop it, you would stop it here, underneath this. Maybe underneath this if you really wanted to give it some room. Underneath this right here. So that's kind of the whole shebang with Bitcoin. There's really nothing else to talk about here. I mean, if it gets, I can't see it doing very well if it gets all the way back down here, man. Like I would expect something up here to hold. There is a lot, there's a lot of price action up here, man. This is another big key area. Though even though it's tested, and then this right here, I guess it would really be this. This is the weekly. Let me just see the monthly here. Yeah, that's tested too. So yeah, it's really this top one, man. If they even get down there, man, I think there's a pretty good chance of them just holding this right here. I'm actually thinking if we drop here, I'm probably going to be looking to get back in a little bit. Not full, not full back in, but a little bit back in with my bags, just in case we get a ride up here. Pretty classic price action though, you know, like we had a weekly close below the weekly here, and then the retest, so they dumped it, and then they came back and tested the weekly move that made this swing. And really, I think they'll come back and test. They might come back and test this too, just the whole weekly move. So that's Bitcoin. So the ES, so they didn't have a weekly close below, right? Getting back above here is going to be pretty key. I think they're going to do it. So once we clear that, I'll be moving my stops from, this was my entry down here, right here, around here somewhere. So once we clear this, I'll be moving the stops up to here. Right now they're just in profit. I really don't want them to go any lower though. And they did buy it up at the end of the day, so last day. So we wanting next week to be a pump week, so we can move our stops up here. And then once the stops moves up there, I'll be 2K in profit, probably something like that. So just let that ride. If we close below here, man, it's gonna be like pandemonium. We're gonna break loose. It'll be very spooky because we'll probably wash out this whole, right here would be the next kind of major level of support in this range. So, you know, could happen, but I don't know, man. Like they've just bought up everything, man, for so long. I just don't think that I think they're just going to keep buying it. I mean, they've done it for since Corona, since the start of Corona. You know, like every single drop into support has been bought up. Every single one. This is the first one that's actually had a close below the support, or not even a close, just like a any price action at all below it. Every other one had it didn't even get below the support. I guess right here, here's one too. Little tiny bit below this week's low. Eh, that's really tiny. Here's another one that had a close below. You know, I don't know. I've really stopped kind of looking at I don't short that much at all in any of these markets. Really kind of turned into a buy the dip trader. What to expect by the end of 2021. So this is kind of how I look at it. Because this contract, the contract that I'm in now is good until December. So the general trend is this, right? And then December is here. That would be the contract ending. So looking at around 47, 48. So that's kind of where I'd be holding positions till like 2 weeks before the contract ends. So if this trend just continues, there's no need to go against it if they're just holding it. I mean, even when there is like a black swan event and they do break it, like it gets broken for 3 weeks and then it pumps then afterwards. Like when has there been a sustained down move? 2008. Like that's a long time ago, man. You know. So that's kind of my thoughts on the ES. Not everybody trades it this way for sure. You know, there is a lot more money to be had if you intraday trade it. We are at a spot right now for that it did reject, but it looks like it's holding. Like they did reject this 4 hour. Pretty good. There's this move to the high that's already been done. So this is kind of just the spot that I'm looking for them to get over. Once they get over, I'll be moving the stop up to here. Oh, believe me, Nels, I want to see a crash and burn too. Don't get me wrong. Like when we have a crash and burn, I'm going I'm gonna go 3 contracts out and buy positions, and then just like see you later. See you in a year. Is there? Do you guys want me to look at any of these other ones? I guess the NQ kind of. I don't really trade the NQ that much at all, but I would imagine it's going to be very much similar. So NQ, It looks a lot even better than the ES. Like it just came down and held. So this just looks good for higher. You know what I mean? ES is really the only question one, but it's honestly it's I don't know, man. Like that just properly came down and tested the previous swing. Pretty good re-entry right here. These are really good entry spots, man. Like when you see the initial bounce and it comes down and tests the month. This is the monthly failure to lose, right? So like this right here is gold, right? You could take that with pretty tight stops, or even just get in there on like a smaller time frame. How I play this kind of stuff is when I see it's touching the level that I like, I just wait to look at price, and then like once we see some kind of a break, like look at this, like on this bounce, I probably would have bought that if I was paying attention to this. That's why so many people bought it, because it's reacting at the correct level after, like, this is the second time, and it's holding this move that made the low. So like this is a really, really good. This would have been a really good trade. I took my trade on the ES, but like if I was paying attention more here, I would have taken the trade here, and I honestly wouldn't have taken a PT yet, man. Because if you're looking at the higher time frame, like why would you be taking PTs now? I guess you could argue that we're at the all-time high, and this is a spot, but all we did was come down and hold, man. So like I would expect this to go to the next level up. So that, like, this is where I would expect this to go. I know that's a kind of a wide range, on the weekly, but this is where I would be expecting this. Probably honestly closer to the top level, like something like that is where I would think that eventually it's going to go. Yeah. Yeah, it does depend on how many contracts you have. Like if I had 10 contracts, then I probably would have be taking I'd be peeling off a couple. Make sure to bank some. So for these guys, you really want this to get above. You already had to close above this here, right? What I would be waiting for on this guy is, for longer term stuff, is closes above this, and then I'd be moving the stop up to this. They did have a close above this though already on the 4 hour, so I'd very much expect this to go now at this point. I guess outside chance they could come back down and test something, but I very much doubt it at this point, especially with the action that we had on at the end of the day yesterday. We had like a lot of buying here on Friday, so really strong close. And then once they're above this, like you don't want to get back. If you get back below this, it's going to probably go much lower, right? So that's why this is the stop point. You see how they use the stop point in this previous range? Same kind of stop point. Here, I'll show you guys. So let's say we got long here. Let's say we got long down here somewhere. Once the price gets above this turns into where the stop is. You can see they use that area. So here, this would turn into where the stop is right here. If you got long in this area, this once you get above this, you move the stop to here. I think they would have stopped you out on this last one, but most of the time it works. Yeah, they would have stopped us out in this one. This was a pretty deep retracement. So that's NQ. Just get this fib back on here. So I'd really be expecting up here. Just leave that there for you guys. Look at the YM. I never look at the YM. ETH, yeah, I'll look at ETH in a second. Did have a weekly close below here. I think this is going to be very much dependent though on the other ones. The S&P being the most important, I think. They are kind of getting sideways here though in this range. Same kind of thing though. This is the area that they want to get above. Is this? All I really trade is crypto and the ES, and mostly Bitcoin. But this price action stuff works on everything. There's tons of stuff on the going to be on the watch list this week, boys, for stocks. It's just the Nas 100. I know, just looking through these stocks a little bit. Like this is like at one right now, at a level. ADP, nice little failure to gain right here. Failure to lose. What's going on, mini disc? Let's have a look at ETH. Riding that Macy's train. All right. So ETH, a very similar situation to Bitcoin, right? And ETH didn't come down and test where it really needed to. Not yet. Oh, I guess this is the low actually. So they really need to get back above that. If they don't, then we're most likely going to come down and test this. So kind of stuck in this little range. But a weekly close below here is not going to be good, man. They really need to pump this in the next couple days. So if we close the week where it's at right now, then they don't get back above 3K, then I'd put money on that it was going down to 2260. Then we could talk about. Then there is like that's going to be it's possible that it's going to be an accumulation zone. If we lose that swing, and then look up below, right? The only thing I'd have on my chart is this right here. Guess the breakout zone, but it's kind of been tested already, man. I don't think that that's going to be anything. Let's look at the weekly. There's actually this on the weekly too. This is actually going to be better. This is kind of a big area, but I would expect it to bounce somewhere in there if we start losing this. Yeah, a change in trend. It's pretty easy, man. Like if you want to look like if you understand how trend works, right? Like so, trend is just it's stair steps up and it stair steps and it's a series of higher highs and lower lows. So at this point, the trend shifted. And there's trends inside of trends, right? Like right now, there's containment from here. There's from here all the way up to here. So there's containment. And then there's another trend right here. So there's another containment zone from here to here. And then there's another trend right here. So there's a containment zone from here to here, and this inner trend is the one that's failing right now, right? So this inner trend, if this inner trend fails, the next thing to do is test the bottom. If this bigger trend fails, the next thing to do is test the bottom. Does that make sense? And you want to look for closes below. So that's why I have this level pointed out here. This 3K level. If we have a weekly close below, that's actually a little bit higher. Right there. Just get that back on there again. It's actually there. So if we get a weekly close below this, then you should be looking for shorts then. if you get a weekly close below, so that means the weekly trend is shifting. So on any kind of pump, you want to look for shorts and you want to target this down here. And then once it's down here, then we can talk about something different. Let's just have a look back in the price action, so I can kind of explain it to you a little bit more. Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. You don't. It's only closes, never wicks. We're in a pretty wicked downtrend. You can see like that it's coming back. It's closing below. See right here. Like this was the first sign right here. So up here, and then we had closes below this, and then we had another close. Did this close below? No, they held that one, but still they had closes below this. So that's the weekly swing, right? That created this move. So losing that is pretty telltale sign to short it, right? And the area to short is it's the move that made the high. Now this move is pretty big, but see it's this weekly candle. So from here to here, so you'd want to be looking at shorts between this area. And what you want to do is you want to look on a smaller time frame for entries and failures, right? So let's just take for example this for example. So once we lost this bottom zone, we knew we were looking for shorts, right? So then we'll move into like a 4-hour. Sorry, let me just bring this back so I can try to spell this out for you guys. All right. So this is the price here. So on the way up, I as soon as we got into this zone, into this in between these two purple lines, is where I'd start looking for shorts. So the first short opportunity, and you're probably going to get stopped out, man, a few times. It's just how this stuff goes. So this would have been a short I would have taken right here. I would have got stopped out. I would have got stopped out. This would have been another short I would have taken because we lost this. So I would have got a PT on that one at least, and then stopped out on the rest. And then I would have tried to get a short here, but I probably would have missed this. I probably would have missed this because it didn't get high enough. But I probably would have taken this. Stops above here, and then that short eventually would have just turned into the runner of that would have worked out really good. So that's kind of how I break down trades. You know what I mean? That's kind of how to do it. So looking at that, like you're you would have got stopped out one complete stop once. The second one you would have maybe had one or two PTs and then stopped out on the rest. And then the third one you would have been you would have missed the first trade and then you would have got the second one. And that one would have worked out good. I know, like wicks. I don't know. For me, I just look at bodies, man. Like I don't really pay attention to wicks. If they save it, then they saved it. I hope that stuff made sense there to you guys because like that's anyone who's newer. I know it's kind of hard sometimes, but like that's what I just explained there is like that's basically the foundation for fucking trading, man. You need to be looking at the higher time frame. You need to look at the higher time frame to figure out which way that you're going, which direction of the move that you even want to take a trade in, and then you look to smaller time frames for entries. Now, the smaller time frame I used was the 4-hour. You can go way smaller than that. So just to recap for ETH right now, if we have a weekly close below this, then you're definitely looking for shorts, right? So if to bring what I just said there into context here, this is going to be the zone that you're looking to short. If we get a close down here, so if there's a slide today and tomorrow or whatever, and we don't close the week above 30.50, then you're looking for shorts anywhere in this range. And you can take it all the way down to like the 3-minute if you want. How I play on the 3-minute, man, is as soon as there's a failure, I just market smash in. So if I'm looking for a failure, let's say I was looking for a failure here. let's say this was an area of interest to me up here, right here, and they failed. I would just market smash in. You guys can see the failure here, right? So right here, there's a failure. Let's just say for an example that this was an area of interest to me, right? So as soon as they failed the local trend here, I would look to just be getting in because you're on such a tight time frame that it's fine to market smash in. It's not a big deal because your stop is going to be on a bigger time frame. But it's important not to be market smashing in on when it's anywhere. Like the price has to be at a higher time frame area of interest to you, like a weekly or a monthly or daily, I guess too. But you can't just like right now. I'm not just going to take this little failure here. Like if they failed right here, you're not just going to take shorts there 'cause the price isn't at a place of interest. And then how I use fibs. I use fibs like Mike taught me and Tempos taught me too. So fibs, the only numbers I have on the fib is the major 618 and the major 272. So I only use these for breakouts, for breakout targets. Yeah, I miss Tempos too, man. That guy was a good trader. But I raked everything I could from that guy, so I learned lots from him. So this is how I lay out fibs. Like I do, and I really don't use these. I don't really use these levels. I'm just aware of them, but I like I am aware of them, and I'm aware that especially if they line up with something else that I'm looking at, that I'm just aware of it. But these are the more ones that I look at, and mainly this one up here. So if you do get a breakout, those are your targets. I think I'm gonna get a tattoo that says 618 my back. So another important thing that it took me a while to learn is understanding when you're on a range break and when you're on a failure. So right now, this is just a range break. This is a weekly range break. Really isn't a failure. It's a range break. You can come back down and test this stuff down here, and the uptrend is still intact. Works kind of better on a smaller time frame. All right, so I'm gonna leave that with you. Hopefully, some of the new guys learned a couple things.
Thank you for watching and learning with Market Traders TV.